I feel compelled to share a couple of other things to give you something to think about, just like little insights to think about. But one of the things I was thinking about is, you know, every single time, without a doubt, if you put something up about flat earth, you know, which to me, the flat earth is just saying, hey, this place is not what you think it is. But to a lot of people, they become very like, you know, they got to go into this three-dimensional, like it's this, it's that, you know, it's exactly this many inches and miles. It takes this many hours, you know, they really get into it. So, and, you know, they go by hashtags, I think, so that they can find different people to argue with, because, you know, they've got to try and get people to come to their side so that they can continue to believe their reality is real, even if the reality is crashing down around them. But some people, you know, it's very scary to think outside of the box. And it is also, it's too much for some people to be able to wrap their heads around. They need to hold on to this concept, these ideas that they have of what this world is. And it might look really smoky in here. I keep trying to make a fire and my eyes have gotten so bad, it just looks smoky all the time. It's probably because I'm in a different reality. And I tell those guys that, and they don't have yeah, you are in a different reality. Yeah, you, whatever. It's like, we are not even on the same planet. But to me, what I get from the whole thing is like, you know, there's certain people and they're playing in the sandbox, and they keep saying, no, you got to stay in the sandbox. You can't go out and play outside of the sandbox. The sandbox is where it's safe. The sandbox, stay in the sandbox. And I'm playing in the yard, you know, and I'm venturing out into places unknown. I am, you know, I'm not scared like that. Another thing too, oh, Mr. Ballen's story. He was telling a story, and he just downloaded one. There's 3 different stories, and I mean, you have to be ready to be horrified when you go listen to his stories. But one of them, it had to do with a dream, and in the dream, how real things are. And that's the thing, is that people really need to understand that isn't just a dream. It's your consciousness having a different experience. It's another reality. It's a whole nother experience. Just because it's over in what you think is a couple seconds doesn't mean that it's not a full experience. So it's your consciousness. That's why things can seem so real. Like that dream was so real, man. That person was really there. I mean, I've had so many of these dreams. I've had people's dead relatives come into my dreams, and people who I didn't even know who they were. So you know, I mean, this other world is real. And, you know, speaking of this, I just turned this movie on. I've been, you know, looking for something to watch all morning. And so I just found this movie. And I know I've seen it before, but I don't remember it enough that, you know, I think I could still enjoy it to watch it again. And it's called Knowing. And it is, the thing I find interesting about it is about a time capsule. And they open it up. And one of the papers is a lot of numbers. And it shows the person who wrote it 50 years ago, a little girl in school. But this little girl in school was tapped in. But see, she had no idea. She didn't know that somebody was communicating with her. She was being overwhelmed. She's writing down what they're telling her, but she's really overwhelmed by the whole thing. And that's what I think is another thing that we don't really consider, is that, you know, me being one of them, how much that if you are tapped in, that you get called crazy. That people will make fun of you and think that you're crazy. And how many people believe that they're crazy? How many people are on medication because nobody's telling them that there's really somebody talking to you? That you have to identify who's talking to you. That you have to have dominion over that spiritual side of the world. Like you have to be commanding of the energy that you allow in. Just like that, you know, that concept of you have to welcome a vampire in, you have to welcome a witch in, and our welcome mats and what they mean and all of this stuff. So anyways, it is, you know, something to think about. Like, if there's people who they tell them that they're crazy and they're not really crazy, they're just tapped in. But in this world, this 3D world that, you know, stay in the sandbox world, that they try and convince us that that is what's real. But some of us know in our bones and our souls that that's not real. And I don't have it in me to try and make it real. I've never understood, you know, a lot of people and how they think and what they have to do to try and keep this world real to them. And another thing too, that I just can't get this off of my mind. And so I'm going to share it. Hopefully it will, you know, stop, you know, going over and over in my head. But I was just thinking about, like, it had gone across, you know, when I'm looking for something to watch, it had gone across and it had about that Renee Zellweger playing this lady named Pam in this movie. It's supposed to be some biopic documentary movie kind of thing about a true person and their crime and how weird it is and stuff like that, which to me is so bizarre. Like, when I saw the thing go across and it shows the real woman and then it shows Renee Zellweger, and you know, Renee had to get herself so much uglier, you know, she had to gain weight and, you know, try and look hideous so she could look like this person. And so in the picture, it shows her, the two of them next to each other. And I'm like, this woman is so much prettier than Renee. It's like, how weird. Like, this woman, you could see that there's a lot of actresses that will look just like her. They wouldn't have to do anything. They just look like her. And I don't get why these people wouldn't get the part. Why they wouldn't get an opportunity like that. But this, you know, I've got to go make myself hideous so I can show this, you know, this person's experience. You know, I've got to really show you, and go in and then make yourself look worse, but then you look worse than the person. And so I was thinking, like, it is weird because I think, like, this woman, Charlize Theron played, and, you know, she was a serial killer, a woman serial killer. And she, you know, I'm sure I've seen some actresses that did not look far off from her, that they would not have to do that much to change themselves. But I was thinking from that person's perspective, and she may already been put to death or whatever, but if you think about that person's perspective, and like, you think, oh, Charlize Theron's going to be playing me. She's so beautiful. And then you see her, you know, transformed into looking like you. And then she's out doing interviews, you know, about the challenges, how great a job she did. You know, I can really pull off looking ugly. I'm really good at it. Just give me a chance. I can do it. Just let me transform myself like this. And it's just as like, that is so fucking rude. It's such a slap in the face to some of these people. Like, I'm going to, you know, I'm going to make myself look worse. Like, you know, Renee Zellweger, before I knew who she was, is when I saw Bridget Jones. So I thought, you know, that that's who she was. And then you start seeing her out and she's super, super skinny. And then it's like, what? You know, you could have had Kate Winslet could have played Bridget Jones and done an authentic thing. I mean, she has come out and said, you know, her struggles with her size. Oh, and I saw another girl yesterday on TikTok and I thought she made such a good point. Because she said, you know, in this time of enlightenment, this time of empowerment, that she had really realized how much she was restricting herself by getting caught up in the size she wore. Like, it was really messing with her head, and she was really starting to see, why am I putting any value towards that? Why am I letting that define who I am? It has nothing to do with who I am. And yet I'm letting this number of this size, you know, that they make, and they determine all that. And I'm letting that define me. I'm getting stuck on it. I keep thinking about it and thinking about it. You know, and it's a lot of women's struggle. I mean, she was talking about something real, and that would have been directed to other girls that had that struggle. So start thinking like, yeah, why am I? And it's a prevalent kind of struggle. Tons and tons of women, you know, they're a couple sizes bigger than they want to be, and then they feel like they're not enough. They feel like something's wrong with them. And they'll just beat themselves up, you know, kick themselves, belittle themselves, talk shit to themselves, instead of loving themselves and, you know, treating themselves and stuff. They'll restrict and they will bash themselves, you know, and it's something that each person has to find that in themselves, you know, notice those things for themselves and, you know, and question it. Like, why am I getting caught up in if I'm wearing a size 8 or if I'm wearing a size 12? You know, how do I feel about myself? Don't think about the number. Think about your health. Think about how you feel. Think about, you know, what you're doing. Don't try and be different than what you feel you're best at. So that's all about the tuning into yourself. But, you know, I think that, you know, when they go in and they have somebody who, you know, doesn't struggle like that, and they're going to go in and tell her story, and then it's like, see how they just mess with our heads? See how they just create an illusion of a world that isn't even real, and we absorb ourselves into it, and then we, you know, it begins to define us, you know, to direct us of how we think and how we look at things. But then when you step back and you start looking at the hypocrisy, the absurdity, the ridiculousness of some of this stuff, then you have to see, like, you know, whose game are we playing anyways? And, you know, it's just part of everybody needs to notice, you know, there's a reason they want to keep you in the sandbox. You know, they want all of everything else for themselves. And, you know, they just want us to, you know, keep the sand going, you know, keep movement in the sandbox. It's just a corral. It's just a way to keep you limited in your beliefs and understanding, because the biggest thing is they don't want you to understand is that you are eternal, that they can't kill you. They can't do anything to hurt you. I mean, it goes against everything they're trying to manipulate you with, fear and dependence. So it redefines your whole life when you realize that they can't hurt you. There's nothing they can do to you. And we allow ourselves to be a part of their programming. We allow ourselves to follow their rules and to try and live up to their standards and play along with their gaslighting manipulation. You know, it's each of us who has to turn ourselves on and realize what game is being played. But, you know, these people that just keep trying to pull you back into the game. It's like, I am not playing that game anymore. I folded. You know, I decided to own my reality, to actually see and go from my spirit and try and understand what this place is about from a spiritual perspective. Not from the perspective that they're showing me, because that's all based off lies. So, you know, I'm going to start looking at life from my own soul's perspective, my own connection, my own understanding. And, you know, everybody has it inside of them. You know, it's not just, you know, a chosen few. It just is a process to turn it on, you know, to get the fire stoked. And it's, you know, it's a lot, because you got to use your critical thinking. You have to use your connection. You have to break programming that has told you to only live by limitations. Don't believe any of that stuff outside of you. It is, you know, all a bunch of, you know, hocus pocus and nonsense. It's like, no, that's what's real. Everything out around you, the natural part of life, that's what's real. Your connection to each other, this energy, this consciousness, that's what's real. This concept that they're selling you or spinning around out in space, like, yeah, you know, that's just a limitation. They're just telling you what reality is, and then you are believing it. That's your participation. So anyways, it was just some stuff to think about, because that's what everything is about, is for us to start expanding how we look at things, you know, open our perspective up to see more. Look through somebody else's lens, see how something would affect them. You know, and I'm sure to those actresses probably with their intention wasn't to screw somebody over. They probably aren't thinking on that level. You know, they're being from ego, and they're thinking about, you know, oh, this would be good for me. You know, I can play somebody different. I can do something different. You know, like maybe they think they are character actors or something. Like they don't, you know, but they're not really developing a character. They're like taking a character and slapping them in the face. You know, it is like, you know, there's some people out there who can create characters, lovable characters that everybody, you know, enjoys. And then there are, you know, people who play all these unique individuals, like, you know, your best friend's uncle and stuff. There's people who do that so well. And there's the people that the big box office here, you know, we're going to stick you in a movie. You know, we really want you to open your shirt this time. You know, we got to see some tit. You know, you're getting older. If we don't see some nipple, you know, you're not going to get any more parts. Like, they just fuck with these people. And so, you know, I'm sure to them, to get to play something that isn't just, you know, the bimbo or the sex kitten or whatever, seems like, oh, great opportunity. But, you know, they're just not thinking it through of like, what a slap in the face that is to other people. Like when you have to act like you are having to lower yourself, you know, from your looks, you have to gain 60 pounds and, you know, it's not like you're going to keep it on. You're going to go right back to your svelte self as fast as you can because you've got trainers. You know, thinking about these other women who don't have all of that. They don't have somebody to sit there and cook them this wonderful meal. And they don't, you know, most of them are going to work all day, come home tired. They're eating, you know, boxed food because that was sold and marketed to us. So they're eating, you know, shit that is destroying their bodies. So, you know, these people just don't think about other people and what they're going through because they're thinking about what they're going through. And that's what I keep saying is about everybody. Everybody has been focused on their own experience. This has been a multiplex theater, you know, and that is everybody having their own experience. So, you know, I think there's a lot, that's where intention comes in. And that's where people are becoming more transparent, where we can see through them a lot more clear, where you can start to see, like, you know, people can't hide their intentions. If somebody's trying to screw you over, it's suddenly becoming really crystal clear. You can see through it, you know, and that's part of this process. That's part of, you know, why there will be people who won't be able to play their games anymore, because we'll see through their games. And that's what's happening now. on a grand global scale, we are seeing the games that are being played. And, you know, everybody's a little slower. Not everybody's as fast at the poker table. You know, we all are individual. And, you know, we just have to allow everybody to see it as it becomes clear. Because it is, you know, crystal clear. It's becoming more and more clear to so many people. So, you know, rest assured that it is happening, that people are waking up, and the world is changing. And, you know, we are along for a really exciting ride. So try not be fearful, and remember, you are eternal, and, you know, expand your thinking. You know, you can, you know, put a little toe out of the sandbox, take a little walk out into the yard, see how really big it is and how much they've been limiting you. There's so much information out there, and it will expand your thinking, because your thinking's waiting to be expanded. Your soul's waiting to show you a universe that you don't know anything about. So it's exciting times. I'll talk to you later. Bye.